I don't agree with the burning of buildings or the looting. But if you reject the peaceful protests that Colin Kaepernick started, guess what's going to happen? If you don't listen, if you want to tell people, well, I don't like that protest. I'm a football fan. And what Colin Kaepernick didn't interfere with the football game itself. It was before the game even started. So everyone who complains about Colin Kaepernick, you're just making an excuse to be a jackass. And most of you, you don't need any excuse. If you're a racist jackass, go ahead and be that if that's what you want to be. But let's stop making ridiculously idiotic excuses. Speaking of which, these people who bring up George Floyd's background, to me, this has to be the single stupidest thing I've ever heard. I've heard people call into radio shows and say, well, George Floyd was behind on child support. And then the radio host would argue with that caller. And the whole time I'm sitting here listening and I'm thinking, so? I mean, yeah, being behind on child support is bad, but does that mean he deserved to be murdered? Is that your point? Because if it's not, then shut the fuck up. Okay? Because your point is a stupid point. Okay? What you're saying is stupid. It's based in stupidity. Okay? Ignorance and stupidity. Because when you're going to say, well, listen, George Floyd, he did this, and it's some petty crime. I don't agree with that, whatever he did. But you got to ask yourself, here's the bottom line. Whatever you're saying, well, George Floyd did this or George Floyd did that. Does that mean he deserved to be murdered by the police? If the answer is no, then shut the fuck up. Okay? The guy was murdered by the cops. I don't care if he was behind on his child support or not. It doesn't mean he deserved to be murdered, stupid. So don't tell anybody, well, George Floyd done this. George Floyd done that. Obviously, this guy, if he was passing bad counterfeit $20 bills or $10 bills, I've heard both of them, by the way. Whichever one of those is correct, or if any of it's correct, I don't know. But what I do know is that doesn't mean he deserved to be murdered by the cops. Okay, so whatever you're going to say, something stupid for those of you who want to tell people, well, George Floyd was doing this, or nobody knew that George Floyd was doing that, and we're making George Floyd out to be a saint. Nobody's making him out to be a saint. People are making him out to be a guy who was murdered by the cops, who didn't deserve to be murdered by the cops. That's what we're making him out to be. Now, if you got a problem with a black man not deserving to be murdered by the cops, then you can bring up all that other dumb shit that you want to. The bottom line is the man didn't deserve to be murdered by the cops. Okay, so say all that stupid stuff you want. George Floyd was behind on child support. By that rationale, do you think every single person who's ever behind on child support for any amount of time needs to be murdered by the cops? If not, then shut up. Please. Please shut up. Okay? But that's just me. Maybe it's just me. And every other person on earth thinks, yeah, George Floyd was behind on child support, so he deserved to be murdered. I don't think so. Or we wouldn't have so many white people protesting, because they know that some of you racist jackasses, you are full of shit. And even some of you non-racist white people are still full of shit. And here's why. Because, and I get this a lot, I've noticed this a lot as of late. There's just a lot of non-racist white people. I know a lot of non-racist white people, and I don't think Drew Brees is a racist white person, but he's part of the problem because he doesn't recognize that someone making a peaceful protest, like taking a knee during the national anthem, is more important than you whining about someone disrespecting an inanimate object like the flag. The flag is a symbol for the country, and there's a lot of things that the forefathers would say was more disrespectful than taking a knee, like laying the flag down, making clothes that look like a flag. And I didn't know that, but they put that in a book. And they say this is disrespectful of our flag. And laying the flag down on the ground, stretching it out. And this is something that they do at football games too. Is they make a giant flag and they stretch it out. It's a 100-yard flag. They stretch it out over the whole field and have people all the way around it. And your forefathers said that was disrespecting the flag, laying it out like that. Not taking a knee. Laying the flag out. Okay, the flag's supposed to be up on a pole. Waving when the wind blows. Not supposed to be making clothes out of it. And thinking you're being patriotic by wearing a tank top that's got the flag on it. Yeah, I don't know why that they felt like anything other than a flag up on a pole waving when the wind blows is disrespectful. But that's what your forefathers of the country wrote. Okay, and the flag is a symbol. Okay, the flag is not going to be angry, like I said before, or have its feelings hurt because Colin Kaepernick and other NFL players and any other players in any other league are taking a knee. That's just in your mind that they're disrespecting the flag. It's like years ago, I was watching a baseball game, and CC Sabathia, he's retired now, but he used to play for Cleveland Indians, and he also played for Yankees for most of his career. The Yankees paid him more, so once he was a free agent, he left Cleveland and went to New York. But anyway, he used to wear his hat, his baseball cap, slightly tilted to one side. And he, it was just to me, it's just a thing that young people do. It's like the nappy hair. Young people wear nappy hair right now. In the NBA. They do it in the NFL too, but you cannot see it. Obviously, they have helmets on. They will have what we used to call when I was younger as a high top fade. These young people will have a high top fade and they'll have a nappy hair. It's a fad. Okay? There's a lot of NBA players do it. They used to all wear the LBJ mohawk, and he had it blonde, and they was dyeing their hair blonde. Some of them would leave it black, but it was a mohawk that was blonde. That OBJ, not LBJ. OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr. used to have the blonde mohawk. But anyway, it was a fad. Now, CC Sabathia used to turn his hat slightly. He was a pitcher, so he was on the field during the defense, and all the players are on the field on defense or either in the outfield, but the pitcher is the one that they show all the time. on TV during a game. So he had his hat slightly turned to the side, Cesar Sabathia. And one of the commentators said, I think he's disrespecting the game by having his hat slightly turned to the side. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but I remember it because I thought, how ridiculous. What a ridiculous comment. He's disrespecting the game by having his hat slightly turned to the side. And I made the comments to friends of mine at the time, other sports fans. When they mentioned this, we talked about it. I said, listen, the game will not be angry, and the game will not have its feelings hurt. So it's fine that he slightly turns his hat to the side. It doesn't make a bit of difference. It doesn't matter at all. Okay, that's just an excuse to hate this guy. And the person who said it is not a racist. But sometimes we have these ideas within ourselves, and we've grown up a certain way, and we've been influenced a certain way that we feel that our opinion matters more than anything else. Like, it's my way or the highway. You heard someone say that before? That means they want you to do it their way or else leave. And a lot of people will tell you that. If you don't agree with me, get out of the country. No, fag. You get out of the country. Okay? And that is the part of the problem right there. Now, excuse my gay slur. I didn't mean that towards a gay person. I meant it towards a straight person. But anyway, we're going to go to a break again. And we'll be right back for me to explain right after this.
You're listening to a man who's so sexy it's completely ridiculous. Mr. Anthony Scott Dover. Yummy.
Yes. Thank you, young lady. Thank you. You're sexy too. But anyway, what I was saying before we went to that break was this. And by the way, I know it's politically incorrect to call someone a fag, but I'm just speaking not to anyone in specific, and it's not about gays. Something that straight guys used to say to insult each other. Even though we're not supposed to say it anymore, but that's what I meant. For people, and I won't mention this guy's name, but who thinks if you don't agree with him, you need to leave the country. And I say, no, you leave the country, because Colin Kaepernick and other people like me are trying to make this country a better place for all. And you just want it to be better for you and people who are like-minded to you. So therefore, you leave, jackass, nasty. If you don't like freedom of speech and freedom of expression, and the fact that a professional athlete can slightly turn his baseball cap to the side and it doesn't hurt anybody, it doesn't mean anything. He's not disrespecting the game, because the game is not going to have its feelings hurt or be angry at the player for slightly turning his hat to one side. The only person who's bothered by it is you. So shut up, jackass. So anyway, I got off on a tangent. But Drew Brees made these ridiculously idiotic comments about disrespecting the flag. And so he needs to understand that it's not all about you, Drew, and your family fighting in World War II. A lot of black people fought in World War II, and they don't get the treatment that your grandfathers gotten.